Hello, I'm Lori Ann Lumby, and welcome to our Friday weekly spiritual service. I'm with Authentic Freedom Academy, and we gather here Fridays at 1 o'clock Central Time. And hopefully this is an opportunity to connect, to be inspired, to find some comfort in a world that is going insane. So before we begin our message for today, let's take a few moments in silence to bring ourselves into this space. So I invite you to close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, I invite you to draw your awareness to your breathing, to be conscious of each breath as you draw it in, and as you give it release, as you draw it in, and as you give it release. Allowing the attention to the breath to bring you into a quiet, restful space. Also allowing that breathing to draw you away from your worries, the fretfulness of the world, your to-do list, or any preoccupations you might be entertaining, and to bring yourself into this present moment. Giving yourself a moment to connect with your own personal reason for being here today and for setting time aside today for your own nourishment, connectivity, and support. And in that place of quiet attentiveness, I invite you to listen to these words from Scripture. And these words are from the book of Kings, from the Hebrew Scripture. At the mountain of God Horeb, Elijah came to a cave where he took shelter. Then the Lord said to him, "Go outside and stand on the mountain before the Lord. The Lord will be passing by." A strong and heavy wind was rending the mountains and crushing rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, there was fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, there was a tiny whispering sound. When he heard this, Elijah hid his face in his cloak and went and stood at the entrance of the cave. The theme for today's service is staying out of the fray. And I chose that scripture passage because I think it, in beautiful metaphoric terms, describes those things that can distract us and draw us away from center. Those things that we are tempted to believe deserve our attention, our reaction, our response. And the contrast between that and where our authentic truth lies. I am sharing this message today on day 5 of a migraine. So I'm going to be quiet and gentle, hopefully, which is an appropriate response to where we are in our world today. As we continue through this evolution of the human experience, as we continue to bear witness to the death throes of the world that is based on fear, power, control, and oppression, we are tempted to get drawn into the chaos. We are tempted to get drawn into the perceived battle. There are forces at play that seem to be working against us, that seem to be trying to create division, trying to inspire violence, trying to foster hatred. And I personally don't know who or what these forces are, but I think we have all had those experiences of witnessing glimpses of those attempts. We are also seeing an unhealed humanity responding out of that brokenness, or I should say reacting out of that brokenness to a world that is literally on fire. In the United States, where I reside, the chaos is palpable. It's hurtful. It's painful. And it's clearly visible. One arena in which those death throes are being played out is in the world of politics. And we just ended a week of the Democratic National Convention, and I believe we're moving into the week of the Republican National Convention. So we are seeing sides fighting and arguing with each other. But as I've said here before, our task is not to stop the dying world. Our task is not to fix it or repair it, nor should we try. Our job instead, and I'm hearing this word very loudly, is to celebrate. To celebrate the hopeful end of that which has oppressed humanity for thousands of years. This oppression is deeply entrenched in the patriarchal, hierarchical systems. It is deeply entrenched in our conditioning. It is deeply embedded in our sexuality. It is deeply embedded in our relationality. This oppression is based on separation. A false belief that there are some who are better than others. The false belief in a God who privileges male over female, one religion over another, white over people of color, nation, one nation over another. This has been the history of humankind for thousands of years. And that system, that structure, that paradigm is disintegrating into itself because it is not sustainable. You cannot sustain a planet or a species based on separation. So while the temptation is great to get drawn into the fight, the chaos, while the temptation is great to react, that temptation, indulging that temptation, does nothing but create anxiety, fear, pain, self-righteousness. And again, it's not our job to stop the dying world or to stop that world from dying. Instead, we are to celebrate the end of that which has oppressed and look forward to that which will elevate and support. In order to do that, however, we have to stay out of the fray. So like Elijah standing on the mountain, recognizing that God was not in the wind or the earthquake or the fire, but that God, what we might call peace, truth, love, the present moment, is not in that which is loud or obvious or vying for our attention. That place of peace and contentment, where we find our truth and our true power, is in that place of quiet, is in that place of stillness, is in that place of silence. One of the practices that I have embraced and need to continue embracing is the practice of silence. withholding myself from reacting to the separation, withholding myself from entering to battle with those that seem to be speaking from a place of fear. To hold myself back from judgment of what I perceive as different from or separate from my own place of belief or the tenets by which I uphold my own life. Instead, when I find myself stirred up by something I'm seeing on the news or social media or in the community, I feel that energy of wanting to react or respond. But instead, I draw myself back. I draw myself back to that place of quiet observation. Waiting and trusting and believing that everything that's happening right now is exactly as it needs to be. That the disruption does have to precede the beginning of something new. That the kitchen has to get dirtier before it gets clean, as my mom used to say. To wait and trust that what seems to be violent, disruptive, harmful, painful, is exactly what needs to happen to pave the way for something new. And as we've discussed here before, that something new is already peeking itself out, beginning to show itself to the world. It's present in the heart calling of those who are looking to manifest change. It is speaking in those longings for a simpler life. It is speaking in that drawing of the earth that is saying, return to me. It is subtle, it is quiet, it's subversive, and it's there. And for those that have been on this journey for many years, actively on this journey of transformation, have held the vision of the new world, and have put themselves out there, take heart. Because what we might be tempted to believe was failure, efforts that we made in the past to help support this new earth, was not a failure at all, but was simply us planting the seeds. Planting the seeds for new systems to come into form. Whether those systems be education, healthcare, agriculture, animal care, care of the earth, energy, politics, governance, banking, commerce. The seeds that we have planted are beginning to take root, to germinate, and to be known. And if we aren't seeing evidence of that yet, it's because our seeds are still being nourished in the safety of the soil, where they are safe and protected and guarded until it is their time to be born, their time to come forth. And in that time of waiting and quiet observation and non-reaction, there is a deeper invitation, and that is to trust. To trust the timing of the universe. To trust that all things are unfolding exactly as they need to, and that we are part of that unfolding. This is our invitation today, to stay out of the fray, to remain grounded in that place of inner stillness, where we come to know our true self, where we come to connect with our own divine guidance and to be a part of our own divine timing. In order to do that, we must stay out of the fray. Thank you to those who were able to be here live today to share in the discussion and the further fleshing out of that message today of staying out of the fray. And as a closing, I wanted to share two cards that I pulled today from my Oracle card decks. The first one is from Tony Carmine Salerno's Magdalene Oracle. And the card that I pulled was Surrender. And the message of this card is pretty self-explanatory. It really is just about surrendering to what's unfolding and allowing ourselves to be carried in this journey as we move through whatever is happening in the world today and toward that which we do not yet know. The second card is from Alana Fairchild's Mother Mary deck, and the artwork is by Shiloh Sophia McLeod. And the card that I drew today was Our Lady Who Sends the Angels. And this card is a profound reminder that we are not alone in this journey, that we are always surrounded, supported, and even carried by spiritual presence, angelic resources, our ancestors, our spirit guides, and even our friends and family and loved ones on this plane are available to us as a source of support. And as our closing prayer, I offer these words from Alana Fairchild's interpretation of Our Lady Who Sends the Angels. I have vast resources and can assist you in endless ways. Pray to me that I may send you my angels. Angelic forces work through my divine plan of love to lift you, to show you the way through the darkness of struggle and into the light of understanding. I will send them to you, to your loved ones, and into your future to provide a light that will help you find your way. Fear not. I have legions of heavenly warriors who will be by your side. The oracle of Our Lady who sends the angels comes with these messages for you. Your sense of angelic energy around you is absolutely accurate and correct. And you are asked to trust these beings and to continue to pray for their assistance, protection, and intervention. Also, you are being asked to call upon angelic energies for assistance in your life right now, because there are certain circumstances that will heal more swiftly with angelic support. The Holy Mother would like these circumstances in your life to heal so that you may continue to serve and help others. She wants to help you by sending her angels, but you must remember to use your free will to ask. So let that be a blessing and an invitation as we move forward in the coming week to stay out of the fray, to surrender and trust in the process, and to ask for help when we need it. Thank you for your presence and your participation, and have a great week ahead.